Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's Theresa here, and today I have a layout that I created for the Traci Reed Creative Team. And our task today is to scrap lift Stephanie, who is Steph All Around Crafty. I will be sure to provide links to her original layout and her social media for you, and I'll also link to the Traci Reed blog post where you can see how other folks have scrap lifted Steph today. This is the layout that I am creating, and then this is Stephanie's original layout that I decided to scrap lift. I'm using the Traci Reed Designs Keep Chasing Rainbows collection, and so let's just jump right in and get started. Okay, so I'm going to go slow here for a little while and then we'll speed up the process. Just wanted to share with you a little bit of detail about what I'm doing with the background. And so I'm starting with a bit of plain white basil cardstock. You can use any white background paper that you like. This one is non-textured, and I wanted to just a basic splattered background using Roy G. Biv. I've also got my 3 photos that I want to use. The embellishments and die cuts, what Traci calls stickers, in her kit. I've got those printed out. A Fisker's Cloud Punch, a couple of wood cloud embellishments. I didn't end up using those, but they are there nonetheless. And my watercolors, and also 8 of the pattern papers that I printed out just on 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I'm going to cut those apart and you'll see what I'm going to do with those here in just a little while. So I went to grab a couple of just scrap cardstock pieces to mask off the parts of the background that I don't want to splatter. And so what I want to do is just a really basic splatter rainbow on the background. So 6 columns of splattered colors using Roy G. Biv, starting with the red and progressing through the colors of the rainbow. And I put a ruler at the bottom just to sort of generally, not specifically, I didn't draw lines or anything like that, but just to keep the columns sort of 2 inches wide. And I knew that would allow for 6 colors. And I also knew that by splattering it, it would be a little lighter. You could paint the background if you wanted to. You could let the paint dribble down the page if you want to. I've seen that done a lot. And it just depends on, you know, what look you're going for. I wanted to keep this light. Steph's original background was really light as well. And so I just, you can see me here just going through. I'm using a really generic kind of rough textured brush and my scissors to tap against. So that's pretty much my go-to for paint splatters. And then you can also see, just to encourage the drying process a little bit, I'm tapping on the paint splatters with a paper towel just to absorb some of the moisture. That will also keep your page from warping a lot because you're removing the moisture. It also tightens or makes your colors a little less intense. So be mindful of that if you use that technique to dry your backgrounds, that it will make the colors a little less vibrant. And that's, again, that was fitting for what I was going for. If you wanted an intense bright background, let it air dry. So either way, whatever you want to do and fits in with the mood of your layout, then I think you should go with that. This is just how I decided, and again, it did make for a pretty subtle background, but there's something there, and I think it worked out really well, and you'll see in the end how it actually pulls some of the elements together in the layout itself. So I was really happy with how that little background turned out, and now it's time to do a bit of punching here. So I'm gonna cut these little squares out. It's just 8.5 by 11 quartered. I think one of the pattern papers I sized down before I printed it, the plaid. I sized that down just a little bit so that it would be kind of a tighter pattern. And then I'm going to race through this pretty quickly here to just so you can see the clouds and how I punched them. You could absolutely use your die cutting machine and a cloud die. Or you could use your silhouette and a cloud cut file, do it over and over and over again. It didn't take too long for this. My hand was a little bit tired after doing this, and I didn't need quite as many clouds as I punched, but at this point I wasn't really sure how I was going to use those clouds. I had thought about doing a background similar to the last similar to the last layout that I did where I used those badges, but then I also wanted to follow Steph's layout, and so by the time I get into my process, I know a little bit better about what I wanted to do with all these clouds. So now I do have a bunch of clouds left over. I could totally do this layout again or do something different with all of these clouds. But it was a lot of fun. Also notice the stripe pattern paper here. I punched that on the diagonal, and so that's just a fun little reminder that you can change the orientation of your pattern papers if you want to, and if they lend themselves to that. Sometimes they do make a perfect diagonal pattern instead of straight up and down or horizontal like that little stripe. So I've got all of that done, and now I can start adhering elements to the page. I decided for the frames. So Steph, in her layout, she had some frames, 3 frames that she used for her journaling and for her title. And I loved how she used those frames for something other than photos. That was a really cool idea. And so I pulled these transparent frames. They're from Studio Calico, and this is where I felt like these frames became a part of the background of the layout, and it was kind of cool how it worked out. It wasn't really my intention. I didn't really know for sure, but I thought about it like as I was preparing to do this voiceover and was going back over the process itself. And the reason that they become a part of the background is because I put them behind all of the elements and added embellishments and photos on top of those frames. And so they fit in really beautifully with the background. They're not obtrusive. They don't compete, but they do provide extra little space for the embellishments and the journaling and the title. Again, without competing, but also allowing for this really cool page design. So once I have those adhered down, I'm going to add the clouds. And Of course, I noticed in Steph's original layout that she used some hearts that are sort of sewn together in a group of 3, in a vertical column of 3s. And so I decided to go off of the grid a little bit, or off of the original concept. And here's where, quite honestly, I kind of just lost myself in the process and just started adding these clouds and the other embellishments as I pleased. And that's the cool thing about a really excellent page design, is it doesn't matter when you start with a great page design, then it doesn't matter what you throw at it, what you layer on top of it. It's gonna work whether it's minimalist or maximalist. It's gonna turn out great because your base page design is a solid base page design. And that's really why I chose this layout from Steph to Scraplift, because the page design really pulled me in, and I just wanted to play with that a little bit, and I think I definitely got a lot of bang here. I just had so much fun layering these. Notice how I used glue dots here, and turned everything up on the left and right sides. The photos, I turned them up a little bit. The clouds, they get turned up, and that sort of adds that dimensional feel to the page. Even looking at it in real life, it's so delicious, all these layers that got added. So I think at this point I'm gonna throw on some music and let you enjoy this page coming together. All right, I'm almost done. I'm just going to add a few more details here. I wanted to add my journaling, and I'm using 2 Jelly Roll pens. It's Jelly Roll Moonlight 10 and Jelly Roll Moonlight 6 for the story here. And then I'm going to use the Hero Arts Green Hills color to add my stamping. And I'm not going to do a lot of stamping on this page. I'm just going to add the date. I'll be sharing more about the story behind this page on my blog, so I hope you'll hop over there and check that out. Also, be sure to check out Steph All Around Crafty. I will link all of her social media down below, and I think you'll find some wonderful inspiration on her accounts. And also check out the blog post where a bunch of us from the creative team have scraplifted her today. I think that you'll find some great ideas there as well. And most importantly, I hope you're inspired to create. Go make something. Now that you've seen our layouts and what we've done, go make something and share it with us. We would love to see. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.